My goodness, Bitcoin has gone over a cliff. Let's jump into our indicators and see how deep this might go. First of all, a quick scan through our disclaimer. This is just market observation, not actual trading advice. And now, before we jump in, if you want to know more about this stream and get up to speed on everything that I'm talking about here, be sure to head over to the website and enter your email address in. You'll get a free webinar with our complete trading system, start to finish. All this free stuff is available there, and I'd like you to go and take advantage of it so that you can make the most of this stream as I'm talking about these different formations. So right now, I want to quickly scan through our indicators to see what we're seeing. Here we are in the 15-minute bar, super oversold on the RSI. Look at the on-balance volume, massive dump of selling. That's a lot of selling volume there. That's pretty significant. Then when we go into the MACD indicator, we'll come back to this one later, but look how this just failed here on the 15-minute time frame and just went wide. Massive move here. And even on the Ichimoku cloud on the 15-minute time frame, there was not much warning on that. It just blasted straight through. But there was enough warning that if you knew what to look for, if you were watching the video from this morning, there were details that told me to get out of this trade. And I'll explain it here. I was watching the MACD indicator because I just streamed this on the other channel, mistakenly, my mistake. Before this afternoon, I was planning to go to yoga, but I wanted to go long in this. I was already long. I wanted to close my long position and increase my leverage and go back long again as a way to increase my position size. And I was watching the charts right about at this time, and I was watching for the MACD indicator to cross here on the 15-minute time frame. This would be my confirming signal as prices were breaking above this triangle on this obvious breakout to the upside. But I couldn't do the trade yet. I was waiting for, I got to pull this back a bit. You can see the spoiler. I was waiting for the MACD to cross here on the positive on the 5-minute time frame. I saw that it had already crossed here on the 5-minute, and that if it crossed positive and stayed positive here, it would be confirming my trade signal, and that the 15-minute time frame MACD would then come along and it would cross positive too. So I couldn't go to yoga. I was waiting. Couldn't go to yoga. I wanted to do this trade. I knew it was going to blast off straight up, and I couldn't go until it broke above this level and gave me my signal. So as I'm sitting there waiting and watching, now I'm starting to see that, hey, wait a second, this is spreading apart here. This is spreading further apart. This is not getting closer together. My 15-minute MACD indicator is not getting closer together. It's not going to give me the cross. It's starting to fade off. I see my exponential moving averages getting closer to touching here. And then it starts to ease off a little bit. And I'm watching this flare wider going, that's exactly not what I'm looking for, especially out of this formation where we're in an uptrend line and it's making a 1, 2, 3 top formation. This isn't what I'm looking for my add-on. In fact, this isn't looking good at all. As it started to dump down here, I thought, this is way past. This is not good at all. And I closed my position rather than closing it and going super long and going off to yoga. Fortunately, I just closed my position. Now, as this is coming down, I had already done pre-research on the altcoins that you can trade on BitMEX. This morning I did the video and we did the all of the indicators to take a look at which ones might be interesting to get into. So I immediately flipped from here over into ADA and went long into that. We'll see how that turns out. Of course, I must compulsively look at it. That looks good. And I didn't get in as fast as I thought I did. When I first looked at the chart, I thought, hey, I got in right away, but I didn't get in till 4:16, I think it is. So I was a little bit late on that switchover, but it's turned out to be positive so far. I'll watch that. So if things start to fade and this starts to pull back, I know that Bitcoin's a fake out and it's going to continue on. We'll have to play this out. And so now that's the story of how the MACD got me out of this position and changed me from going adding on to this position to dumping it and flipping to a different one. I still don't know, of course, in the long run, which is a better situation. Should I just have closed this and be waiting? We'll have to wait and see what's going on, because this is massively over, like way crazy down. Look at how far down that is. Nowhere else do we see that kind of massive spike on this time frame. Let me go to a longer time frame, because it's nothing at all on this time frame. Although it's a significant crossover on the 1 hour, which was positive. So that goes to negative. The 4 hour has crossed to negative. It just crossed to positive and bam, back to negative again. So this is looking more bear incoming, actually, when I start to look at this. The 12 hour is going negative, but it hasn't crossed over negative yet. And if it does, wow, we're in for some sell signals coming up on these crosses. This is building up, especially when we go to the daily. Now this is still positive for me, and it's been a real supporter for my looking at a long position here, that this is crossed positive and crossed positive again. But now with the 4 hour going negative, the 12 hour looking weaker, this could be the next one to cross negative. And if it does, we are in for some selling. We are in for some selling if this crosses. So we really have to watch these ones. I already know that the weekly has stayed crossed negative for a while, as all of this last little week of movement upwards hasn't really affected this. It's staying as a sell signal. So now we have a sell signal in the 4 hour time frame and the 1 hour time frame. The 5 minute looks like a reversal, and the 12 hour looks weaker. So overall, the MACD is looking weaker. I know I'm out of order here, but that's okay. Here we are in the 15-minute time frame for the relative strength index, also massively oversold here. Hasn't been down to these levels since way back on this dump. I know if I go into the 4 hour time frame, that's an important oversold condition for the 4 hour, but nothing too extreme here on the 1 hour. Pretty fast, like it's an extreme move from top to bottom in one whoosh. So important to pay attention to. On the 4 hour time frame, oh, there finally is a divergence that stands out, that confirms this. And no, I did not look at this divergence this morning. Definitely not. $12-hour time frame first here. Not as clear a divergence in the 12-hour time frame. In fact, there isn't one. Whoops. In fact, this goes along with the price on the 12-hour time frame. Curious. Usually the differences aren't that pronounced. Usually this is just a smaller version of what we see in the 12-hour, but that's a different version of what we see in the 12-hour. How about the 1 day view? Still looks kind of bullish to me, actually. Still, it's doing its pullback before more. So I was looking at this as the break and going to the bullish side. It could still bounce off these levels and go bullish, but breaks below those levels. Now, as we're setting up here, we're getting a few different criteria. On the 1 day RSI, this is pretty clear that if it's breaking below these levels, and we have the MACD also crossing and going negative, it's something to pay attention to. I'm not expecting downside in this though, so it's prudent to be ready for it. We'll watch how these unfold. Now we've got some specifics. And the volume, I'm going to zoom out on this one with lots of heavy volume here. How does it look in the 1 hour view? It's as heavy as it was back here, and it stopped at those levels. Pretty important support and resistance levels right now. We'll have to watch in the close time frames to see what unfolds here. What kind of divergences do we get on this as it's unfolding? So now let's go out a little bit more to the 4 hour time frame. The dumping, the selling wasn't so bad as to push it to negative. So it was pretty sharp and solid. Maybe manipulation. I don't know. But the buying wasn't as strong. And we were watching that divergence as it was setting up, saying there's got to be more buying coming in. There's got to be more buying, and it just didn't come in. It came in as selling. So that is a wet blanket on things right there. Pretty cool. Let's go out to the 12 hour. This looks better. It doesn't turn to a bunch of selling right at the end. So on the 12 hour, this still is holding its own, as though it could be just consolidation and that we're going to build up and still go on higher. And on the 1 day view, this is not looking as good. Quite a bit of a different change back and forth as we're changing from time frame to time frame. This is dumping, but that's okay. This is part of the finish of the down move. So if we're finishing these down moves, this dump is part of it. But if it continues to go down further, that dump now becomes a whole different song as we're starting to break down these technical levels. And we never did with these levels. We stayed above those technical levels all the way through, all the way through, all the way through. So if we start breaking those technical levels, that is important, especially when we combine it with this selling. Love it. Now the Ichimoku cloud showed a fail right away. There was no pre-warning on this. On the 1 hour time frame, of course, it's not giving us a warning. In fact, I was reading this as a buy signal in an uptrend. It was bouncing off the cloud and taking off. Looked great. The only thing that gave me that warning was the difference between the 5-minute and the 15-minute MACD indicator when I was right up close to the point of this triangle. Crazy. And that's not the way I like to trade. I like to be further back away from the market so that I don't have to spend so much time looking at that kind of detail. So on the 4 hour time frame, this hasn't gone to a sell signal yet. It's just market noise. And the 12 hour time frame, it hadn't gone properly to a full buy signal yet. And this is where on the 12 hour and the 1 day, these were looking like sell signals in a downtrend. And if this, we zoom in on this, if the blue line crosses back below the red line, that is going to be a sell signal in a downtrend for the Ichimoku cloud. And that's significant on the 12 hour time frame. Let's go into the 1 day time frame and clear this stuff off. Grab my... This is still a sell signal. It never did wake up into a buy signal. This was always a sell signal in the downtrend for the Ichimoku cloud. So we have quite a bit of establishment to do here and building to do in order to get this up above this cloud so that we know that the trend has really changed. Other than that, we are just battling back and forth in some small ranges that at high leverage is pretty fantastic and can wreck you pretty fast too. So start off small, wait for it to build above these clouds especially, and then we can put on the nitro. Be disciplined, start off small so that your losses, if you have them, they're smaller. When it's proven us correct, there will be time to add on to it and put the nitro on. Bitcoin dominance is slipping off here. This is more evidence that the alts might be taking off. Because I just did this live stream on the wrong channel. I don't know if we looked at this one here or there or not. But Litecoin, Ethereum, and Ripple really bounced up immediately as Bitcoin started to drop. Of course, that's thanks to the bots, but I also went over to BitMEX and I sold out of my position. I went over and I wanted to go market long on Litecoin. And it gave me an error. It said, no, there are too many orders in the queue. Try again. I couldn't go market long on Litecoin at that minute. There was so much volume of trading going on. Crazy that it only went up this much, actually. Instead, what I ended up doing was followed up on some research from the video this morning on the altcoins, where we took a look at ADA, EOS, Ethereum, Litecoin, Tron, and Ripple. And ADA was the only one that was holding like a double bottom position here. And as I zoom in on this, we can see the double bottom 2 times off this level. And then each of these levels, when I go into the 4 hour time frame, I was liking what I saw in the RSI. In that on this bottom, we had a 1, 2, 3 bottom in the RSI from these oversold conditions, and it broke out higher from a downtrend. Here we have a downtrend in the RSI. We have a 1, 2, 3 bottom, and it broke out higher. At the same time that we have the double bottom in the prices, this kind of support makes me feel like there's a turnaround ready to come. Sure enough, as this started to happen, I jumped in. And we'll see how this turns out. It's turning out pretty good. I got in at 416, which I actually thought I got in at 412 or so, but Numbers say 416. We'll see how this plays out now as Bitcoin is unfolding. If Bitcoin dominance is sliding back, then I just happen to get in at the craziest trade opportunity as it's happening. Phenomenal. But all of it, all read out in advance by looking at the chart and coming up with the specific patterns, the exact indicators statement, I don't know, the exact indicator placement, or very pre-planned. And then, because I planned it out so well, I was able to quickly go and execute on this stuff. So for this stuff, it's been working out pretty good. So let me go over to the chat, and I see Trattor Rituto is here, and I'm getting smoother at saying your name. Assos man, good to see you. Hello again. And Willie Woods noticed it on BCHU 19 on the 1 minute, went long and then popped, dumped clear as a day. Then it popped and dumped. It was clear as day. You saw it coming too. Alts lift off. Let's hope so, Anne. Let's hope so. Which coin did you always get me to go and look at, Anne? I'll filter by BTC. Get rid of my favorites. Scroll to the bottom. XXXLM, right? Well, XLM's not giving us the double bottom that ADA is, which is why I went long in ADA instead of the other ones. They were down to new lows, like a new number 1 point. So it's harder for me to trade it unless you're willing to go for a swing trader's entry. And this RSI divergence right here is the first part of a swing trader's entry. And that we have Bitcoin doing this sort of adds on to it. But for my own part, that's just not a formation I can trade. And it may be a perfect moment for it to take off. Could be. But I couldn't trade it. I have to let this mature a little bit, and then I can bite the apple. So if any other coins you guys want me to take a look at, we can jump over and take a look at some alts. And then we'll keep coming back to Bitcoin to see what is going on. Where is a good Bitcoin chart? This is good because it gives us all four on the 1 minute view. Let's zoom in. 1 minute view. So we'll come back to this chart in a second if things start to change direction. The longs were high on Bitcoin and I got short. Hey, right on. High five. If you shorted that move, that's awesome. I jumped out of the way and didn't get clobbered by it, and I felt pretty smart. Pretty lucky to be there because I was just about to go to yoga. I would be eating a loss on this, or not a loss, but my trade would be way back from where it was. So the RSI oversold condition. Your long Bitcoin, Litecoin BTC, good luck on that. Let's go take a look at Decreed and ICX. And Zyke Design was looking at BTC USD. Yeah. Yeah, love it. Good luck on your short. And Bitcoin looks like it's weaker right now. So you do well on your short and I'll do well on my ADA long. But look at the selling coming into this. Wrong one. This one. Let's zoom in. Yeah, still selling. Guts of selling going on here. Wrong little symbol. And steady selling after the dump. There's like steady sell going on. Something's changed here. This has been a significant one. And what about dominance? Okay, it's made some slides off here too. If this continues to slide off, the alts are going to do some dancing. Now I want to take a look at Decreed and ICX. See if I find it. Reverse alphabet is always harder. ICX. I love ICX chart because of how long it's been in bottoms, that it's held its bottoms and stayed above these levels, so that it has made, you could call a double bottom above this 1, 2, 3. Pretty close. We've got this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It broke above it, retested it again. So certainly formations above this level are definitely buy signals for me. The thing is, I don't see enough of an RSI divergence here. You can see that this was coming down for a long while and the RSI was holding flat. That's a good strong divergence. And this has got RSI coming down while the price is coming down. So it doesn't stand out as that it's going to reverse now. It doesn't seem like it's going to be right away. It could go sideways for another couple weeks, thereabouts. Could go much faster. But that it's at these levels is definitely something to be watching. I love it. If BTC tops at 14, 14K is a lower high, does that mean we're testing bottoms again? We'll go into a long-term look at Bitcoin in a second. I'll go and take a look at Decreed first, and then we'll take a longer-term look. DCR. There's some pre-pumped candles of buying going on in this. It has been on such a crazy downtrend, but again, here's one that it's made the double bottom. I like this bottom. I like the RSI divergence on it. I like this bottom that we're going lower and the RSI is held above these levels. That's really good. So a break of this RSI so that it is showing strength like we see here is probably going to be same as a bounce coming up. For my own trading though, I would go 1, 2, 3. It's got to break above these levels. And if it spikes, I don't even like it actually. If it was to give me a pullback, like a spike and then pull back and consolidate here, that's my favorite type of 1, 2, 3 bottom formation breakouts. I like to wait a little bit longer, even out to the 12-hour time frame. Clear this off. So that we're really waiting for the change of trend. So it's going a different direction. Once it's above these levels and set up like this, that gives us enough. Just like that, it is too early. Many people tell you it's too early, don't take this. But it really works out so many times, it's crazy. But just that first little squiggle of the breakout and the pullback gives us enough for our parallel channel. And we can start getting an idea of what the direction this is going to be. Is the parallel channel going to be steep? Is it going to be long and narrow? This is where I'm really keen to see, but it's going to be a little while before these turn around and mature that far. Right now, it's just a little blip. And if Bitcoin is doing its parabolic move, it's going to come back and it's going to come back and give us an ascending wedge triangle here. And everything in the alts is going to come up and test and break out of their parallel channels and drop. So we already know what the alts are going to do when they fail. They're going to give us that pissing off the roof formation, and we could be going down further from there if Bitcoin is going parabolic. So in the long term, this is just still a very short-term idea for these moves right now. And we're going to be watching for Bitcoin to be going parabolic way higher and the alts to be getting crushed way more. They could be the turnaround point, and I'll play it as it plays out, but I really want to be careful with my stops as it plays, and I'll be watching for that top formation break. That top formation break, if I zoom out to and here's our top formation break example. 1, 2, 3 top formation, broke that level. As it's coming up, we'll be watching for the alts to be doing this very same thing against what Bitcoin is doing. For now, Bitcoin is slipping off and the alts are taking off. Compulsively look at my own trade. Not bad. Come on. You can do more. Hey, Willie Woods, done for today. Trading 5:45 a.m. here. Oh, yeah, that's a long day of trading. Crazy. So now we'll look at the long-term view of Bitcoin. Five-year view. I'm still looking at this as positive. This still hasn't turned negative. In the daily view, when I look at the MACD, this is still a positive cross. We could get a bunch of noise here, but until this cross is negative, I'm still watching for this to continue the parabolic move upward. So if we go out to a longer term view and we're looking at the weekly, get rid of this. With this cross and the things that we have going on right now, we need more meat. We need to have this cross back positive before this is going to go up. It just can't go up while we have the MACD crossed negative. The daily has to build up. The 12 hour, the 4 hour have to cross positive. We need a little bit more time sideways to prove that it's going to go up at all yet. In fact, we're on such a precarious, close to the edge for falling down. I think the plans have to have preparation for both right now. It's so close to the edge. And we really do still have all these exhaustion candles. And so there's the way I'm trying to approach the market is that my job is to limit my losses when I'm getting into a trade. I look for these 1, 2, 3 formations, tops and bottoms, and I try to enter my trade small and add on to it if I'm correct. And my job is to limit my losses. And then once I'm correct, I put my stop above or below my trade and I leave it. I let it be up to the market to decide that. And so then I'm not trying to guess where the market's going to go. I have a hard enough time trying to guess if it's going to go up or down right from where I am. Never mind what it's going to do afterwards, after it gets somewhere. I try to just leave that up to the market. That's the market's job to tell me how correct I am. And then what I'm watching for is the market to tell me when to get out. And the market should be telling me. If we're giving negative crosses in all of these indicators, the market's telling me something. And we're having a 1, 2, 3 top formation. It's right on the edge of breaking lower on that. The market's telling me something. So as it's building up here and these indicators are all lining up to the same, that's what the market's going to be saying. So then what that means is as we get up to these levels and it starts to do something like a top formation, then I'll go into the RSI and I'll see, do we have a divergence in the RSI? Is the MACD also crossing over right here inside this 1, 2, 3 top formation, inside this top formation like we have right now? And those are the things I watch for. And that tells me when to get out. Usually I filter it and I try not to freak out on these kind of quick spikes. I try to filter it by letting the exponential moving average keep me in until the exponential moving average crosses over. So it's good to journal about that right now because normally I like to play by the 4 hour and the 12 hour exponential moving averages, which gives you a lot of room and you really don't react to a lot of this kind of quick movements. For today, I sold out as this was breaking because I was looking to jump up my position. So Litecoin, Bitcoin continues to go up. Yes, if Bitcoin is dropping off, then all of the alts are probably going up right now. And at the same time, if we are seeing Bitcoin dominance dropping, that's phenomenal. That's part of the plan. Definitely time to redo the cryptocurrency bull market watch. I did this one at 8:30 a.m. and AOL Chandra did this one at 2 a.m. to give us the data that we have here on the cover page, which gives us the bullishness and bearishness. But there are a very select bunch of coins that we've already pre-identified that were the first movers in these couple waves in the past. And those are the coins that we're going to be watching and digging into. I'm going to do a special video about that right away. And that will be for our members who are paying for the Patreon group or our alert subscribers. And if you haven't already, you don't need to pay for anything. All the free training should be all you need if you're just starting out. Go over to the website, enter your email address, and get the free webinar to the complete trading system, the risk control system. Everything's in there. And I give it away for free because people who don't have the money to pay for a course still need this training. In fact, I believe you need it more than everybody else. If you are in debt and you are struggling with money, then you need this training more than everybody else. And I always hated it when I saw successful people with money saying, look, I made $1 million. Here, pay me $2,000. I'll show you how I did it. It's going, hey, man, you just made $1 million. How about just helping people? So if you want that help, go and get that stuff. Learn from this. Practice it with me. Come join our Discord chat and talk about these 1, 2, 3s. They really work. So anyway, I think we've covered what's going on here. It looks like it's still sliding off until this crosses. These histograms start to pull back. We are sliding back further on the 15-minute time frame. This is still crossed negative on the 1-hour time frame. We even have a cross negative on the 4-hour time frame. So I think there's a little bit more dipping back to do. At least we've got to go sideways for a while for these to pick themselves back up into a more positive stance. 12-hour time frame is almost coming up to cross negative, but not yet. So we're still not crashed. It's still not doom and gloom yet. We still could be on that parabolic move up. It hasn't cracked yet. Yes, don't get me wrong. I love Bitcoin, but there's so much manipulation. When I look at the charts, yes, absolutely there is manipulation. And this is why your risk control rules are so important, even more important than your entries and exits. Literally, you could flip a coin heads, flip a coin tails. I got a little gold coin here I bought with Bitcoin. I always keep it right in front of me. And this says heads, I go long. Tails, I go short. Then if I just put on 1/3 of my intended trade, and I only put on a little bit of my trade, I only keep it if it proves me correct. And if it proves me correct, I put on my full trade. Just by using that filter of random entry to the market and using those risk control rules to only hold it if it proves you correct is the first. And the second one is to put on a small bit of your trade and add on to it after you're proven correct. All of your losers will be smaller because you have a smaller starting position, very small losses. And all of your winners will be bigger because you've got a bigger position. And so you'll have much larger losses on average than your wins because we're just flipping a coin, right? And if you just use that risk control method, it's going to protect you a lot against the manipulation because you've only started with a small position and you're not adding on till it's proven you correct. So when you start with a small position, you get nailed with this manipulation, which we all do, then it really is a smaller cost. Cool. Come on, ADA, you can do better. Let's see you jump to 1,000 Satoshi again from where you are. That would be awesome. Yeah, I would say that the manipulation is more than we realize. I remember there was this trading console that I found out about, and you could pay $1,000 a month. You have this trading console, and it lets you say, I want to buy BitShares, and I want to buy this much BitShares. It will go through all of the exchanges and look at the order books to find where the most liquidity is at the least price, and it will buy the proper ratio from every different exchange to fill your order of however many BitShares you wanted. And so you get the best deal based on the supply and the order books available on every one of the exchanges at the same time. This is pretty advanced stuff for buying and selling of cryptocurrencies across all the exchanges at once. So you already know that there are bots that have the information. They can, like the big data, the computers can do all this crunching way faster than any human can. They can see all of the order books on all of the exchanges all at the same time. They can tell when a whole bunch of noobs are getting leverage long with too big of a position and their stop losses are too close to the market. You can see it. You can see the swell of it building up. And we know the psychological moments when that happens. Let's go and look at one right now. It was the very moment I was deciding, should I go to yoga today or not? I wanted to add on to this trade. I wanted to close my leveraged position, and I wanted to take my profits, and I wanted to increase my leverage and go into a bigger position right here. I wanted to, and I had to wait for my signal to complete. If it had, I would have done that trade, and I would have had to use rule number 1 to get out of it quickly. And so this is the moment where lots of people were thinking just like I was. enough people where it's worth the bots $10 million investment to move the market and have 10,000 people that they get $1,000 from. They've made all their money back. They've made all their money back because they knew exactly where they were going to be buying. They knew exactly where everybody's stop losses were. And when I hit those stop losses, how deep of a weight would that carry to push things down? It's all mathematical. You can measure it all in all these exchanges all at once. And so when this kind of situation pops up, it's just like some ripe fruit just ready to be picked. And the algorithms do it all automatically without thinking about it, no emotion, they don't care. And then the people who own the algorithms say, well, we didn't manipulate the markets. We just leave it to our artificial intelligence bot that determined that this was the best thing to do in the manipulation. Methodical manipulation, knowing human greed and fear, probably added to by having a whole bunch of positive social media articles all going out through this period of time, knowing everybody's going to get super pumped on it and go long, too many longs, mathematical, manipulated social media news articles and blogs and everything all at once. And you bet it's all automated. So anyway, that's my rant on manipulation and what price to take profit on your Litecoin trade. Now, whenever I'm taking profit, I always want to have that planned out in advance. I already know what kind of chart pattern I'm going to look for and what kind of top formation I'm going to wait for. And when the exponential moving averages cross over and the MACD does this very same thing that we see that happened here, I knew to close this position. So other than that, I try not to guess where I'm going to close it because that's not my job. My job is to limit my losses. After I've done that and I've put my stop loss to protect my entry, then I put my hands under my butt and it's time for me to sit and do nothing. The more I sit, the better I do because the market could do something I'm not expecting and I want to be available for that. So then I'm watching for the top formation. Aside from my stop loss just above my entry, that's all I'm watching for. I'm letting the market tell me when to get out. So right now the momentum is going so that Litecoin is going up and Bitcoin is going down. Let's just quickly go and grab that chart. So this is a beautiful little 1, 2, 3 formation right there. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, and it broke out above it. And it's inside a larger 1, 2, 3. This is the number 3 point of the larger number 1, 2, 3. So a break above this level isn't a place to be taking profit, but actually, a break above that level isn't a place to take profit, but it's a place to consider adding on to your trade. If we're trading correctly and risk adversely, then we put on a small bit of our trade here just to experiment with it, knowing that if we're correct, there's time to add on. Now we're probably going to get some blast through and some pullback on this. And so for me, this would be the place to start to say, oh, look at this. We've got a parallel channel and a place for me to light up my nitro. I don't want to go on to nitro when we're turning a corner. You know you're going to get blasted straight off into the bushes. But once we have changed direction, we're on a straight stretch, now we can blast that nitro button. And it's this stage of setting up your trade and knowing about the risk control rules and playing this out as it's happening, practicing it. Convince yourself that you should start small. You will have time to add on later. And your losses will be smaller, your winners will be bigger, and over time your trading will be more successful just from that key shift in your risk approach. So in Netherlands, we pay 1.5% on the capital more than 30K of capital interest. Today they announced that they'll change it to 400K before changing interest. Wow, that's nice. That is very nice, so that you have a chance to make some great capital gains before you're taxed on it. That is encouraging a lot of investment. That's pretty good. Pretty cool. And now the waiting game is on. Bitcoin has made this move and it's rocking sideways I will keep an eye on Bitcoin dominance to see if this is cracking lower and going down from here. And of course, we'll be updating our patron bull market watch spreadsheet. This is the bomb for the best way to know exactly which coins are taking off first. And I love this spreadsheet. That's my favorite. Boom, boom. And if you haven't already, put your email address in on the website and we'll tell you more about that spreadsheet and why it's so cool. But I guess for this, just got away for exactly the right time of that dump. Rightly said. Rule number 1, avoid social media and the endless Bitcoin to the moon crowd. Bitcoin is another asset, much more volatile. Ignore social media, ignore the news, ignore everything. Ignore Fibonacci, ignore trend lines. You can watch support and resistance. But the only thing real in the charts, the only thing real, and I don't know why everybody doesn't talk about this stuff in their trading. Brian Beamish is the only one that talks about the W formation. He learned from the same guy I did, Ken Roberts, back in the 1990s. But the 1, 2, 3 formation is the only thing real in the charts. Once that is broken, it's clear. You can't fudge it. You can't change the angle of the line. You can't change your moving averages numbers. You can't change your Fibonacci circles and your Fibonacci lines. The 1, 2, 3 is the only thing real in the chart. So everything else is probably news about what happened with the 1, 2, 3 formation. So you guys are with me on these 1, 2, 3 formations. I want your success stories. I want to have this kind of 1, 2, 3 formation set up and talk about it and then come back and say, man, I made 80% on this trade. I made 60% on this. I went up 6%. I was 10 times leverage. I made 60% on that trade. Even if you got out here. Phenomenal. And I'm looking for your success stories. Boom. What else do I got here? Let me make sure I'm not forgetting something. Now, all of these altcoins setting up for these 1, 2, 3 bottom formations, I know that the people who are watching this right now, you're going to have a serious regret if you do not study this 1, 2, 3 formation. Get it prepared now before the altcoin bull market takes off. You'll watch my videos in 18 months or 2 years from now, and you will say, you were right. I watched it and I didn't do anything with it. I knew about it, but I still didn't do anything with it. Has that ever happened to you before where you knew about something, you didn't do anything with it, and then it turned out and you think, shit, I knew about it, but I didn't. Why is it that we have that psychological block that we don't do something about information that we get? It's an important thing to understand what stops us, what holds us back from taking information that's obvious and valid, and we don't repeat it often enough in our own mind to make it in from knowledge into a belief. Because you'll always act in accordance with your beliefs, and you don't even have to be pushed to. That's something you believe in. You will do it because you believe it. So you get belief by repeating knowledge and studying it until it becomes built into your mind like neural patterns. Sort of like a black belt in karate practices a kick or a punch or a move over and over and over. And after 10,000 repetitions, it is literally wired right into your body, and it takes no conscious thought to do it. And it's the same thing with this trading plan. I can tell you about it, but if you don't repeat it and drill for skill, then the pattern's going to come, it's going to go, and you're going to look at it and say, man, I knew about it and I didn't take action on it. And that's only because you haven't wired it into your belief system. You haven't repeated it over and over again. You will get that repetition. If you stick with this live stream, I will beat it into your brain. You will see 1, 2, 3 formations everywhere you look. You won't be able to help it when you see a formation in the chart. You'll be going, look at that, 1, 2, 3. On an uptrend in the parallel channel as we're going. There's my nitro spot right there. So that's my rant. I wanted to be sure to remember to say that because I want you to feel that regret, not because you're going to miss out on it, but because there are endless 1, 2, 3 formations. No matter when we're trading, as soon as you get this and you start to make this work for you, it is gold. It really is gold, literally. So Now yes, I want your success story too. That would be huge for me. This is the main thing that I'm looking for is your success stories. And we can't have your success stories if you're trading with the wrong risk control rules. If you don't understand those risk control rules, get over to our Discord chat right now. Sign up for some of our training. It's going to be well worth your while. I will sign off for now and wish you all the best in your trading. I'm looking forward to those success stories. Now I will sign off and I'm going to make myself a coffee. Probably get out and check out some sunshine here today now. The silver and gold and platinum markets are closing soon. I'm not going to look at them until Sunday night. Bitcoin has done its thing. I'm long ADA right now. We'll see how that turns out. And we'll tune in tomorrow morning. We'll do another live stream of the Bitcoin stuff so that in 5 to 7 minutes, I'll go through all of those indicators each morning. Cheers. Thanks again, and bye for now. I have to get my intro and outro music going again.